Hello, welcome back to Making Money Manageable with Alan Dembski and Juliana Janson from Buffalo First Wealth Management. Today, we have a interesting topic that came to us via our social media channels: strategies for paying your children an allowance. Now, we might get into a little debate here or a little back and forth, but we have some areas that we'd like to cover first. And at the end, we'd like for people to leave a comment and like and share our videos for more.
This is one of those topics that people feel very strongly about. And I think a lot of it has to do with what you experienced when you grew up. When we were preparing for this video, we realized I did get an allowance and my kids did get an allowance, and Alan didn't get an allowance and his kids didn't get an allowance. So I think people have their biases. So I'm definitely team allowance.
Well, you didn't say I was a bad parent, so that's good.
Oh no, never. I would never say that about any parent. Actually, that's not for me to say. But one of the things that I liked about having an allowance as a parent is it taught my kids the decision making of what is important to them. Much like when you have your own budget and you're
Hmm.
running your household, you can decide, what am I going to spend my money on? What are my needs? What are my wants? And then you can make those decisions accordingly. So I'm definitely team allowance. I understand what some of the counterpoints are to having an allowance, but it definitely introduces kids at an age appropriate level
Right.
to what's the best way for them to manage their money coming in and going out.
It also teaches them a lot as far as what things actually cost when they are making that transaction themselves. Whereas sometimes we don't understand, like, oh, mom and dad's going to get it, and they don't understand the actual true cost of that. But you have to have some guidelines when earning an allowance. Is it just that you want to give them money? Should there be some kind of earned payment, whether it's clean the room, do the dishes, help with the yard, whatever it might be? You have to, I think they need to be taught where they have to earn that money and not just given to them. I think when it's just given to them, sometimes it's taken for granted, whether we realize it or not. Psychologically, I think deep down they're saying to themselves, well, I just get it.
Yeah, and I was never that advanced in my allowance giving as a parent, but I know that some people have sort of a baseline that in order to get your regular allowance, you need to do A, B, and C. And then if you want to get an additional amount on top of your allowance, there are these other chores that you can do. Like I said, I never did that, but I definitely think it's a great idea because I think it also introduces the concept between here's the effort that I put forth, and when I put more effort forth, I get more money. I think that's an important, but I did not do that actually.
Well, I think it all comes down to effort too. Like you got to show something, whether it's an extra bonus for a better grade. If your child's a C average student and they get a B, sometimes that should be rewarded, right? Whether it's monetary or a pat on the back or a special dinner or something for going above and beyond.
Yep.
But there's got to be effort shown to get that allowance, I think.
Agree. And if the baseline isn't getting done, you don't get your allowance that week. Just like if you don't show up for work, you don't get paid. So I do think that that's an important lesson. The other thing, too, as a parent in 2026 and beyond, is how do I pay this to my kids? So, obviously a young child isn't going to have an account, but so probably the most logical way to pay them would be simply with cash. But as your kids get older and we have all these different ways of accessing funds, you want to think about what's the best way for me to pay them. Do I Venmo them, since that's how a lot of teens manage their money? And how is that actually going to work? And then you just need to put the parameters around it and then stick to it in terms of how you manage it with your family.
And I think the other question I was just thinking of is how much? How much do I give my child? I think that's where you need self-reflection too on what can you afford to give your child. I mean, I hear some people, and I'm not here to judge, giving $10 for a tooth from the tooth fairy, things like that. I mean, if you can afford it, then that's fine. I think any little monetary value goes a long way. It doesn't necessarily matter how much you're actually giving to that child.
Yeah, and I think the nice thing about one of the reasons that I did like giving my kids an allowance is because I didn't have to say no so much. I just had to say, I don't know, do you have enough money? Do you have enough money in your allowance to buy that? So it sort of gave them some agency in terms of it wasn't just ask mom and dad and get it or not get it. They have some work that they can put into it if it's something that they really wanted, especially if it's something I did not want to buy them.
Right. And sometimes putting little parameters or rules around, once they receive that money, how much should they spend or how much can they spend of that? How much should they save? Maybe they want something big, and how much are they going to save each allowance to make sure that they have the money later on to buy that? And, maybe donate a little to charity, teach them some charitable contributions, whether it's during Christmas time and people are ringing the bell and dropping 10 cents or 25 cents or a dollar, whatever it might be, into there, knowing that you're doing some good for the community as well.
Yeah, I definitely like that. I know that with my kids, we had short-term and long-term savings, so they had to put a little bit away for long-term, and that did work actually. The other thing too is as your kid gets older, the decision about how much to give and how to give and what it's going to be predicated on is going to change. So, a 5-year-old, you're going to handle it differently and age appropriately than you would a 15-year-old who has a lot more capacity to help out around the house, and can make decisions differently than a young child, certainly.
And I think this is a topic that will resonate with a lot of people. And I think there will be a lot of back and forth. So if you have a comment or if you do something differently, we'd love to hear what other people are doing. Like Juliana said at the beginning, she did the allowance thing. I did not. And I guess everyone is different. My kids did need to save some of their money, their birthday money, Christmas money, any of the holiday money that they got if they wanted something big. So we didn't give like a weekly or monthly allowance. However, they did earn money or get money throughout the year that they were, tasked to save for something that they wanted to spend on and saving as well.
So let us know what you think.
Absolutely. Thank you.